What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel here for another review. And today I'm reviewing episode 5, the penultimate episode of season 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I believe this episode is entitled In the Name of the Mother. We have a lot of references to mothers. I'll talk about that, of course, in the review. But before I do that, guys, like I always say, like I always do around here, we give a score. And if you're new to the channel, scoring system is 0 to 5, 0 being trash and 5 being a masterpiece. And guys, even though there was a bit of the episode I quite didn't like, that I didn't like how the show did it, I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 5. I gave this one a 5 out of 5. I thought this was an amazing episode. Just where they left us in the previous episode to where we came to now, the stakes, of course. And one thing I'll comment on is I like about this show, like the jousting scenes, the combat scenes, that sound, it really feels like you're in the world. It really immerses you in the world, and they do it tenfold in this episode. But yeah, guys, I gave this a 5 out of 5. So with the score out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the episode. So of course, in this episode, it's game time. It's time for the battle of all battles. And the thing about this is, guys, this is crazy. Who would have thought that this joust in this little ass tourney in this nothing part of Westeros, Ashford, that this battle felt more consequential? I felt the stakes more in this battle than I did in the last season of Game of Thrones, the long night episode that was supposed to be the battle to end all battles. But this battle, I felt more like I felt on edge. Even though I read the novellas and I know exactly how it was going to turn out, they did an amazing job with this one. With so little, they did so much. So kudos to Ira Parker and everybody involved in this show. I thought it was just amazing how it just goes to show you have to have substance over style. Substance will always win over style, and they did it in this episode. So I wanted to put that out on the table before I actually, begin to get into what I wanted to get into. So one thing I'll talk about, the title of the episode, In the Name of the Mother. We had a lot of references to mothers in this episode. We had the dying soldier who was calling for his mother in his last moments. We had Dunk, a young Dunk, who we meet yearning for a mother who's probably dead and who we'll never see again. We have Sir Arlen. I'm trying to say it like Dunk. Sir Erlen, who comes to save Dunk, and he calls upon the mother when he does it. Also, we have at the beginning, before they start the 7-on-7 trial by 7, the Septon calls upon the mother. And then we also have, even before that, Lionel Baratheon being Lionel Baratheon, saying, when Baelor's given his instructions, calls him out and says, you were the one the mother loved. And he says, it's a shame, because those who are abandoned by their mother, they are the ones who fight the hardest, So yeah, it was, like I said, very, very good episode. But I'm going to talk about the flashbacks. I wasn't a fan of these. I get why they had them. I mean, the flashbacks showed, gave us a look into Dunk's past, and we see officially how him and Sir Arlen met each other. I just didn't like how they did it. They start the battle, and, right when it's kicking off, we go back in time. And so we meet Dunk as a young boy. He's probably, I would say, 12, 13 years old. And we meet him scavenging on the battlefield, what appears to be the Red Grass Field, the battle that decided the Targaryens winning against the Blackfire Pretenders, the battle that ended all battles, that ended the first rebellion. And they're going around and scavenging. And this soldier is, he's at his end. And it's crazy. The first instinct Dunk tries to put him down. Like, he puts his hands over his mouth to put him down to keep the guy, to, I guess you could say, give him a merciful passing. But it's crazy. He's so young, but it goes to show you, and he even says that he's seen people die before. So this goes to show you, growing up in Flea Bottom, which I think Game of Thrones did not do a great job of showing us just how bad Flea Bottom was. I mean, we had characters reference their origins from there. We had Sir Davos, we had Gendry, and I believe Carl Tanner. He talks about Jen Alley, but I think Jen Alley is a part of Flea Bottom. Carl Tanner, the fucking legend, Carl Tanner of Jen Alley. And something funny about that is, and I'll talk about it later, when Dunk's fighting Arion, he had a little Carl Tanner in him when he's fighting. But anyway, I thought the show Game of Thrones didn't do a great job of showing us just how bad, how much of the trenches that Flea Bottom is. And we see it in here. Dunk, I mean, these kids, they're doing whatever it takes to survive. Like I said, they're scavenging on the battlefield, and we meet his friend Rafe. And they kind of have a brotherly, sisterly bond or whatever. It's just, you could say it's them against the world. And we still see Dunk. Dunk is still somewhat that boy, very humble individual, whereas Rafe is a little bit more vulgar, maybe more cynical of the world than Dunk. But they come back with their wares or whatever. They sell their wares, and of course they're stopped in the road by a guy named Alistair, who appears to be a gold cloak, basically the city police. And his whole thing, it appears that he's on the take. He lets you steal, but you got to give him a cut. And so he gets ready to take their stuff, but luckily they're able to get away from him. Of course, Rafe steals the little shit he keeps his alcohol in. And so basically we find out these two are saving up to go to the free cities. And Dunk is very apprehensive. He doesn't want to leave because he's thinking, what if my mother comes back? And Rafe's like, your mom is dead. She's not coming back. You need to go out and form your own family. And basically she could be his family. And so they get ready to go. And they find out that the price is double because people want to get the hell out of there. I mean, the one thing that this show also does well is whenever you see a battle, and not even necessarily Game of Thrones, but you see a battle, what do you see? The ticker tape and everybody, the horns, everybody's cheering, the glorious heroes. Of course, they more, but we see, just your everyday people, how they're involved. Soldiers, you got people dying in the street, people are hurt, and so they want to get the hell out of there. But they find out that they can't afford the trip. The trip has doubled in price. Now, one thing I thought that was going to happen was, since the price doubled, they technically had enough for one. And I thought maybe Dunk would suggest Rafe go without him. But no, she says they say, fuck it. We're going, they stay together. Eventually, they cross paths with Alistair again, but this time he wants what they have. He's able to get it. And Dunk's like, hey, let's take the L and keep it moving. But she's not having that. Rafe ends up stealing Alistair's knife. He tracks them down. Rafe gets her throat slit. But Sir Arlen, drunk out of his mind, comes onto the scene and administers justice, drunken justice. And he ends up killing Alistair and the other I was about to say Night's Watch, but City Watch kills him, takes him out. And Dunk, unfortunately, during it, gets run through the leg with the spear. So Dunk, with his friend gone, starts to attach himself to Sir Alistair, but he doesn't quite trust Sir Alistair. He follows Sir Alistair for days upon days, and eventually he makes contact with Sir Arlen. But this whole time, Sir Arlen is out of his fucking mind. I mean, I'm just like, this guy, I don't remember him in the novella being like this. I don't think he wasn't like this at all. He was more of a normal individual, but it does make sense in the episode that he would be this way because his previous squire was his nephew, and they both fought in the Red Grass Field, and his nephew was killed. So, he's suffering. He's already got some PTSD and he's suffering. So I think all in all, it makes sense, but that's kind of basically what we get in a nutshell of Dunk's past. But it goes to show, like, you see the hardened conditions that he grew up in. It's each day is not given. You got to do whatever it takes to survive. If you want to live, you got to fight every day in Flea Bottom, which will come in very handy when we get to the Trial by 7, which that's where we're going now. So during the Trial by 7, so it kicks off, and Dunk, he freezes. Like, I mean, because when he puts that helmet on, you get his POV. It's the straight tunnel vision. He's breathing on. You feel the nervousness that anybody would be, because his life is on the line. And before I forget, one thing I wanted to talk about before it kicks off is his interaction with Egg. There's a beautiful callback to I think it was when they first got to Ashford, and he agreed for him to be a squire, a temporary squire. And he tells him, don't rob me or whatever. I'll track you down with dogs. And Egg, gives him instead of, Dunk doing the roof, he does a little roof. And so it was a beautiful thing, because for one, it kind of shows that, hey, we're still cool. I still care about you. It's water under the bridge about what you did. I forgive you. But then at the same time, though this was a tender moment, this could actually be the last time they ever interact together. And, you see that when Dunk turns his back, you can see in his face, and you can also see in an Egg's face. So once again, these two actors have an amazing chemistry together, and it's totally believable. But back to the Trial by 7. So it kicks off. So Dunk's late. He's late to the battle, but with encouragement from Egg, because you remember Egg was training the horse. So when Egg yelling out the commands, the horse finally goes, and it's on. And oh man, let me tell you what, man, this battle, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I spoke earlier in the intro about it, but they made this grimy, dirty, and it seemed, at points, it seemed real. And of course, there's some shit in here it's fantastical, but particularly the beating that Dunk takes. Some of those wounds, I don't care who you are, you're not surviving that. But anyway, he gets run through right at the start by Arion, takes a lance to the gut. He's in pain. He's taking it out. He gets knocked off his horse by Arion, and then he's getting himself together. He stands up, and then here comes Maekar, with his mace, bam, right across the head, drops him. And so while he's on the ground collecting himself to get up, it's just pure chaos around. You see bodies flying all over the place. Matter of fact, the two Humphreys, Beesbury and Harding, they get taken out. They get killed by the Kingsguard. So those two are out. They are done. You can actually see, I believe it's Beesbury. You can see him being killed when Dunk's on the ground. You see him getting knocked off the horse and getting taken out. And so once Dunk is on the ground, Arion dismounts, and they're getting it on. And I love how the contrast in style. So like Dunk is not really skilled. He's big, he's strong, he's tenacious. Like I said, he's from the trenches. And so you have Arion, he's a trained fighter. He's a smaller guy, so he's using his speed and his just pure out viciousness. You could tell he's trying to kill Egg. And like I said, at one point, he takes his sword and throws it into his thigh. And he's going to work on Egg. And there's one point where on Dunk, excuse me. There's one point where they're on the ground, and Arion has the advantage. He's mounted Dunk, and none other than our boy Raymond Fossilway comes through and knocks Aegon down to the ground. He has him on the ground now, and why do I keep saying Egg? Dunk gets the advantage. And they're going, like I said, he's hitting them, but once again, Arion Arian gets the advantage again. And at this point, Dunk has been run through. I mean, he's been stabbed several times. He got hit in the head with Mykar's mace. I mean, he's worse for wear, to the point to where he's got nothing left. And he just drops to the ground. And so Arian thinking he's won. He's won. He's like, he's finished. He's finished. And this so reminds me so much of Rocky. I mean, start playing a dun, 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 dun. All of a sudden you hear Egg screaming, get up, sir, get up, get up. And as Lord Ashford, they're about to call it. They're about to call it. The horn's about to go off. And Egg or Dunk comes to. He arises. He arises like a phoenix from the ashes. He gets up and he handles business. I mean, he takes Arian out. And what helps him win is his struggles from his past. Like I said, I didn't like the flashback, but I understood why they showed the flashback. It showed his struggle, how tough it was. He got it the hard way. He got it out of the mud. And when he literally was in the mud, he got it. Arian didn't have that dog in him. Arian's the kind of guy he's never been tested. Who the fuck is going to test a prince like that? Dunk, he's been tested. He's been in these streets. And he showed it at that moment when he could have killed Arian, but he spared his life. He showed, once again, he showed what a true knight is. He said, I got this guy beat. I'm going to give you a chance to give up. And like in the novella, there's a point where that does happen, but Arian tries to sneak him, like he gives him a chance to surrender and he's like, all right. And he tries to go after him, but they don't do it here. Dunk drags him, holds him up in front of everybody, in front of the little pavilion or whatever, the suites, where all the everybody's at, and he gets him to yield. And he does. He says, I withdraw my claim. I give up. I yield. Now, one thing that I did love also is when Dunk's starting to beat the shit out of when he's starting to beat the shit out of Arian, you see Mykar screaming, my boy. Here's the thing. Even though he's a hard ass, he's an asshole, he's very hard on sons, and some may say a terrible father, he's still their father. He's still the father at the end. It came out. That fatherly love came out. And you see Lionel Baratheon, and you see his brother dragging him away from the battle. And there's a point where they're over getting busy, where Lionel and Baelor are scrapping with him, and you see the blow and like I said, if you're watching this far, you see the blow that ultimately took the life of Baelor. Like, he smashes him in the back of the head. He didn't mean to. He did not mean to do it. It was one of those where he was trying to get him off of him, and he swung it around, and he hit Baelor in the back of the head. And the key thing about that is Baelor was not wearing his armor because he had no intention on being involved in any kind of jousting. He was there on a diplomatic thing. He was doing his politicking. He was wearing his son's armor, and the armor didn't quite fit. And so after the battle, after he has yielded, we go to the back, and of course, Dunk, being who he is, he's not even worried about himself. He's asking about the others. Like, did we lose anybody? And Raymond tells him, yeah, we lost Beesbury and we lost Harding, the two Humphreys. They got taken out. And they're like, all of his wounds, they're talking about, Pate wants to pour oil in there, and they're telling him, no, don't put any oil in. He said, don't put any oil, don't put any oil, in the wounds. It'll kill him. Put wine in there. But then if you pay close attention, you start to see something's wrong. Something's wrong with Baelor. He's not sounding like himself. He's a little woozy. Maybe he's a concussed. And he wants him to take off the helmet. And he starts saying, my visor is crap. Well, he doesn't even have a visor. He doesn't realize he's not wearing his armor. He's wearing his son's armor. And when they pop it off, his back of his head has been caved in, and he dies. He dies in the arms of Dunk. And so Darren's prophecy did come true. A dragon did die. And it was Darren thought the whole time it was going to be him, but it was his uncle, the heir to the throne, passed away. And it sucks so bad. It sucks so bad because you're always going to be left with the what if? What if, man, if this guy would have survived? Because I think if Baylor would have survived, he would have been up there with the great conciliator, Jaehaerys the First. Because I think Jaehaerys the First was the greatest, probably the greatest Targaryen king there was. He was the greatest Targaryen king there was. Without a doubt, he was the greatest Targaryen king. And like I said, unfortunately, we lose Baylor, and it's like, it's Game of Thrones, man. It just goes that way, But yeah, guys, that's it. I didn't have time to take notes on this one. Like I said, I'm willing and dealing doing this. I got my kids in the next room. Matter of fact, there's been like 2 instances where they've come in and I've had to give them the "don't come in here" sign. So please forgive me. But what an amazing episode. And just I know we got one more episode, but what an amazing series, man. This has definitely restored a lot of people's hope in Game of Thrones because of what happened to House of the Dragon season 2, which understandably some of the problems it had was out of the control of the creators. But at the same time, I'm not letting them off the hook because they've made some decisions that have ruined the show somewhat, some bad choices they've made. And then we know how Game of Thrones fell apart post season 4, slowly. And then by the last season, it became an abomination. So, all right, guys, that is all I have for today. Like I always say, guys, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe, smash the like, and get in the comments. And with that being said, everybody, it's your boy P signing off. And guys, I'll see you in the next episode. Next episode, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.